So they claimed it was obviously Russian disinformation, right? If you look at one of the clips I posted on my timeline, it is a collage of all these MSM talking heads, for everything from Politico, which Natasha Bertrand, she was the first to kick this thing off. She was the one who claimed that the intelligence community, 50 members of them, had said it was Russian disinformation, and then it just took off from there. So CNN, MSNBC, even YouTube channels that are left-leaning were all parroting the same narrative, the same talking points, and they said that to even share it would be, would be dangerous for democracy, right? They literally tried to shut down this whole thing, and they're all very invested in it. I mean, if you look at the people calling this expose boring, the ones who are saying that Matt Taibbi destroyed his reputation and his career for the richest man in the world, if you look at their timelines, if you dig up what they said in 2020, they're all the same people who downplayed this whole thing. They first dismissed it as Russian disinformation, and then when it was obvious that it wasn't Russian disinformation, when even the New York Times had to report earlier this year that it was verified, and CBS had a great report a few weeks ago that, confirming every single aspect of that New York Post report, they all moved, they pivoted, right? They moved the goalpost and said, oh, it's just revenge porn of Hunter Biden. Right, it's a poor man. He's an addict, and you're bullying him. I mean, I even saw the same talking point yesterday, where a lot of people were saying that I think it was Max, what's his face, the guy from Vox, or the editor in chief, saying that this is clearly an attack on Hunter Biden, that they're abusing this poor man. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, is abusing a former addict, a drug addict. I mean, no one buys this, right? No one except for like the most hardcore reader of these these rags, these disgraces of journalists. Nobody believes this, because the vast majority of people on this planet who have been, whether you've been following this news or whether it's a tangential thing, it's got to make you pause for a moment and question what it is what it is you're being told, when you're literally told by these talking heads, by people on Twitter or on TV, telling you not to pay attention to this, that this is dangerous knowledge. What do you do? Well, the reactive action is to look into it yourself, because that is your ability, right? Unless you're a sheep, unless you're an NPC, I think most people are not NPCs. They're going to look into this, and they're going to realize that they've been lied to for so many years now, and the lies just don't stop coming. And Elon Musk has given a voice to everybody.
So Ian, just
to
follow up on that then. Some of the data that we've seen more recently from Musk himself and Twitter is that, there's been a sizable, notable decrease in the followership of left-leaning to encompass maybe far left or more central left, and a notable increase of people who are centre-right or right. Again, that's variable depending upon what context, which country you're talking about. So how do you see that playing into this? And the other thing is that I've had several messages from people, just to be balanced or for the sake of argument, someone talking about that the fact both sides requested the removal of tweets. Both sides requested it. Okay. It was something that occurred. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so for the first question, I would say that it's true. A lot of people have logged off of Twitter, right? They've deleted their accounts, moved to Mastodon or Hive or that post-social thing, the one that's never going to take off. Obviously, those people have left. Some celebrities have quit. People like Jim Carrey, for instance, or you know who I'm talking about. So there's that, and I think those are a small minority of people who didn't really use Twitter that much, people who only maybe followed, they created Twitter accounts, had maybe 10 people that they were following for news, and they just went along with the narrative. I don't think that's a significant number of people. I think that more crucially, a lot of the people that they've been losing, that these journalists have been losing, are in fact bots. Because as we've seen, just a few days ago, when Alexander Vindman tweeted something that was attacking Elon Musk, what happened was you had all these bots, literal bots, who were repeating the same line over and over and over again, like dozens of times, to try to get his phrase to trend on Twitter. This is what they do. They use an app called Thunderclap, and some of it is automated. You have automated bots who are basically, they hone in on a single tweet, a single narrative that they want to push, and they push it out, right? Like they all say the same thing. This is why, not just a few years ago, the New York Times, every single day it would trend in the morning. And I looked into that. I was curious, why is it that the New York Times lead article, the one that is going to make the headline news and set the tone for the entire day, why does it trend in the morning? Well, if you look it up, right, if you looked up their headlines, you will see literally hundreds of thousands of accounts, some of which are even blue check marks, even journalists, who would immediately tweet the same thing the instant the New York Times tweeted it. And this is they're using an app called Thunderclap to do this, where they basically it sends it to all these accounts that are signed up with it to tweet the exact same message and gets that entire phrase to trend. That's how they were doing this. That's how they control the narrative.
To that point, Ian, I think it's quite interesting. You mentioned Vin, we had a conversation on Spaces about an hour after he mentioned those tweets. I met him in person in DC, and we had a conversation. And some of what you're saying, no, I'm showing this because it's real time data. Some of what you're saying is true. We did some algorithmic analysis afterwards, and what you're saying is partially true. There was a intensified rise in the amount of certain accounts associated with the hashtags and things that you mentioned. So anyway, please carry on. It's quite interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
No
people.
worries.
Can I jump in here?
May I speak,
Hey.
please? So I think we're enough people now on the spaces for Elon to jump in. The thing is, we have to be careful about what we say because, like Kim said, this is actually escalated quickly to national security type of thing, and it's very tricky when you have a Democrat president in the Oval Office, while it actually concerns potential election manipulation. Yeah, and so I don't know if everything was exactly planned from Elon, to about these Twitter files, but here's the thing: you have to consider things with different perspectives.
So you're going to censor the censorship conversation is the idea?
No. Look. So let me just finish this so that hopefully we'll get Elon on.
I feel
so essentially, because of the firing that has happened inside Twitter, this Kim will know this. There is a highly likelihood of leaks because that's just how people are. They seek for vendetta, and so the best way when you know that there's going to be a leak is that you can leak it yourself so that you can spin it and control a little bit more the narrative. Okay, and that's basically why Elon should join and then just talk about it. Now the thing is, like I said, it's very sensitive data, and there's people listening to this, okay, and to this one podcast, to this one Spaces, and it's very hard to control now the narrative because Elon has hinted very clearly that Twitter Spaces is now becoming essentially citizens reporting, and we have today more credibility in here in these Twitter Spaces, which will eventually become the Everything app. We have more credibility than the CNNs and the mass media of this world, who, by the way, don't even have the followers they claim they have. And you add on top of that the what Ian was saying, which is the bots who make it look like people are still listening to them. They are not. Nobody is listening to mass media anymore. And they have completely shot themselves in the foot with the COVID narrative, because now we know that they are unreliable. It used to be that people know that the government lies, but then they don't connect the dots for some, human stupid reason, that they say, okay, so do you ask a person straight in the face, you say, do you trust the government? And they will say no. But when the mass media reports whatever the government wants you to accept as 100% truth, then for some reason they believe it. Okay, this is no longer true for a part of the population. This is basically changing, And the Twitter Spaces is now going to be a broadcast of what actually people think. And that will be echoed to the peoples. And therefore, they will lose the control of the narrative. And this is the most important thing in society, because when you do not control what the broad mass psychology is, and again, I would point you to an interview I did with Matthias Desmet, who wrote a book, the Psychology of Totalitarianism. He's the psychology professor who was attempted to be banned from the University of Ghent in Belgium because he was pointing out at the fact that there was what he coined as mass formation. Okay, and this is basically breaking down now. And so with this, all I wanted to say, right, is I know for a fact that Elon is listening to this, or his associates are. So I just want to say two things. Number one is, please retweet these spaces and bombard Elon to come on board, so that he does. Okay, and if you have access, we're gonna be speaking now for a couple of minutes about the Twitter files. So I think it's only right, for him, who owns this platform, to come on stage and to talk about it, so that he can control what is being said, because otherwise there will be speculations and there will be things that will not be able to be truthful. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, Mario. And yeah,
Yay.
thank you very
My
much
turn.
for getting me. Yep.
Yeah, let's
What's
go,
up, everybody? Richard Hart here to drop truth bombs on you guys. Look, you guys are all acting like something amazing happened here. You're not in the real game, okay? In the real game, we're still totally censored everywhere. We can't see anything we want anywhere. I've been banned off YouTube 4 different times, begged the internet gods to unban me. Thank God they did, because there ain't no customer service email. You're literally one bot away from being completely removed from society. And so many people used to be able to speak publicly that can't anymore. There was a bald dude. He used to talk about atheism and being free from your parental control. I think his name was Stefan Molyneux. Gone. He's gone. Alex Jones. Gone. Trump. Gone. This dude named Destiny. Gone. And there's all these other people that are just totally gone. You'll never hear from them again. They don't exist anymore, because they got canceled by all the people that are in power. So Elon bought Twitter to try and unscrew it. It's obviously sucked, which is why he had to buy it. It was good. He wouldn't have had to buy it and fix it. And then he discovers that, oh, look, censorship was happening. We know. We've all had, you're not allowed to advertise crypto on there. They don't accept the ads. You're not allowed to advertise crypto on Reddit. You're not allowed to advertise crypto in magazines. You're not allowed to advertise anything except that hurts people. If you have an exchange that hurts people, they'll take your ads. If you have a casino, they'll take your ads. If you have sports betting, they'll take your ads. But if you have an honest cryptocurrency, they won't accept your ads. And so what you need to do to get your free speech back isn't to beg Elon to release papers of what is obvious, that they've been censoring the crap out of everything. The only unique or interesting part of which was the ruling party had some say in it, which is obviously a First Amendment violation. And by the way, my people, the Hexicans, for you guys that don't know, I founded a cryptocurrency. My people are receiving government subpoenas asking them for records of every conversation they've had with other people about the product. Now explain to me how that's okay with the First Amendment, how that's not a chilling effect, how that is not a slap strategic lawsuit against public participation. The government is fishing expedition asking people for their conversational records with me. Why is the government subpoenaing people's conversations with me? This is happening to me. So is anyone else on the call having people subpoenaed for their conversations? No, just me. It's not a fair world that we live in. And where's our redress? Where do we go to get fairness for this? So what I'm saying is the solution for all of this censorship crap is to treat the utilities as utilities and break them up like you did Ma Bell when Ma Bell was a monopoly, we have now public-facing communication services, such as social media, that are more important to us than the telephone systems ever were, but they were smart enough to break up the telephone system and allow competition and allow greatness and allow excellence. And that's why you could buy DSL from 10 different providers, even though they go through the same central telecom switch. That's the reason you could get internet from 10 different places instead of just having AOL. So regulating these utilities will give you your freedom back. Giving you data portability will give you your freedom back. There used to be a hashtag on Twitter called net neutrality. And net neutrality meant that you and your packets and your data had to be treated the same as everybody else's. And they couldn't decide to just like, oh, you want to send a Bitcoin transaction? Yeah, we're just going to put a 10% tax on that. Oh, you want to visit a shopping website? We put a 2% tax on that. Because they could do that, and they want to do that. Like these telcos want to monetize in any way they can. They don't want to be a dumb pipe. They want to act like they're an endpoint and try and start siphoning money off you. And so basically, like even Twitter's trying to do this. Right? Twitter wants to bang you for $8, but it's so funny. They don't really want to bang you for $8. You can still use the platform at the same level, roughly, as someone that didn't pay the $8. You're just paying for basically a hat, except they only have one color of hat, and it's called a blue check mark. So it's like a Team Fortress hat, except it's just a blue check mark, which, by the way, I had to work a lot harder for. I didn't pay $8 for my blue check mark. I had to do it the hard way. So it's just, I don't understand why everyone's so excited about a data leak that is something as obvious. Everyone that has
let me cut you off right there. The reason people are excited about this data leak is, yes, it is confirming the obvious, but there's a difference between something being true to everybody and having evidence for it. That's the difference, right? That we haven't had any hard evidence that they were actually colluding. They could deny it, and there was no way to say, hey, you guys are lying, because
Correct.
that would be stipulation. That's the difference. That's why this matters. If we're going to, when I say we, I mean as in the public is going to make this into an issue where they bring it into the court of law, we either through AG, some state, from places like Florida or Texas, or if they're going to do it in Congress, they need evidence. They can't just be saying, making assumptions and going on some fishing expedition to make the claim that can easily be denied and shot down. That no court is going to say, oh yeah, that's totally legit because it seems to be true. No, there needs to be evidence, and Elon has provided the evidence. That's what we're excited about.
So I shouldn't ask you, Richard. I shouldn't ask you how you feel about the EU's proposal concerning Twitter in the next few months. Then,
yep. What was the EU proposing?
Well, the EU is basically saying that they're going to prevent the they're going to bar Twitter unless they do something about the potential limitations on freedom of speech.
No. But, if I remember correctly, every big global war has come from that side of the world. So maybe they should chill out and let the free speech stuff work.
I'm just joshing with you, but it's nice to see you. How you doing?
Good. So, the solution here is, by the way, Twitter is a private company. They could ban everyone named John legally. They're like, yeah, you're just not allowed to be named John. We don't serve John. Sorry. Bye, Johns. So the only way that this evidence is going to be useful is if the ruling party used it to stop people's First Amendment rights. And I think
there you have it, though, Richard. And I'm speaking to you as someone who worked for Biden years ago and blew the whistle and came forward. I just had, I don't know if you saw it. I gave it to Mario. It could be up in the little top, but the Daily Caller just showed the subpoena. They subpoenaed all my social media when I came forward. I'm just a regular citizen, but they did it under sealed warrants, and there's a sealed case. I don't even know what it's about other than I'm being investigated simply because I came forward as Biden. So what this is showing is, and I'm speaking to you now, with my lawyer hat on, is what Ian pointed out. This isn't just rumors, isn't just like people saying or colluding and talking about it. It's actual receipts of showing what prosecutors look for is a pattern of behavior, and also receipts. It shows when, why, where, and also the motive of how the DNC and the Biden campaign and then the Biden administration colluded with intelligence agencies. Now, that's very key, because then you get into the constitutional rights and the intelligence community. They take, and just like Biden, when he, in his administration, they took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and they violated that oath. And that's what Elon Musk pointed out in his tweet. That's why this is very important, because this is historical. This will go down in history, and it's going to take a while for it all to unravel. But Elon Musk, I don't know him personally, but he is heroic for doing this because he's coming up against a huge power machine that might affect all his other businesses because of his government contracts. Because he's exposing that the intelligence community behind the scenes violated U.S. citizens' right to choose their own political candidate by suppressing information that was of the public interest. So yes, there will be huge reveals. And I think probably the reveal today, I don't know, but I'm wondering if it's going to be more about the intelligence community and that collusion as well as corporate media. Now, the corporate medias, they use PR firms for. So anyway, that's.
I just think it's funny that the company that's trying to make it better is when every single crypto channel has been banned off YouTube multiple times. Where's our leaks from YouTube? Like, hey guys, can you guys stop screwing us, right? Or like when magazines won't accept ads. It's just sad that we only get the only people leaking data are the people that are trying to help us in the first place. Like we just have Twitter stuff because Elon's nice enough to hook it up.
Well, and the other point with the DOJ stuff, like in my case, I didn't even know that my communications were all being taken under sealed warrants. The only reason I knew is that the Twitter attorney contacted me and said, look, we had to go to court to tell you that you are under surveillance by your government. And so as a citizen, I didn't even know. And so I'm just a minuscule example of a very big problem. And so they did take all my Twitter, all my Twitter information, all of it, as well as my Google, my Gmail, my Instagram, my Facebook, which I've deleted those apps anyway. But the point is that those companies didn't contact me. Only Twitter did, and they had to do court cases and spend thousands to do it. So that must have been under Jack Dorsey. I don't know. But I do know that I've been shadow banned on Twitter before Elon. Now I'm not. And I've been suppressed because they saw me as a threat and tried to destroy me using intelligence services. So that's why, to your point, that's why this is such a big deal. Not just for me, this is for all American citizens. American citizens should not be under surveillance by their government because they're using Twitter and Instagram and Facebook if they're not committing a crime. Simply if they're whistleblowing.
It's the Fourth Amendment. It clearly states that you should be free from unreasonable search and seizure and blanket phishing, like mass surveillance. I mean, Snowden was proved correct. Like he was right. There was illegal surveillance going on, and then everyone forgot about it. Nothing changed. The important part here is you got two enemies. The government is your enemy. They need fixed. They're doing things they shouldn't be doing, and it's not good for them or you. And the companies need fixed. You need competition to breed excellence. Unless we have data portability, and unless we have these utilities treated as utilities and broken up and demonopolized, you shouldn't be able to get cancel cultured if three companies ban you. That's not a sustainable way to live. So we've got two enemies here. One is the company monopolies, which are emergent, or not in Facebook's case. They're not emergent. They buy every competitor. And they're also government overreach. And they're two enemies, not one.
Spike, I'll let you. Spike, I saw you. Just quickly, Spike, I saw you unmute a couple of times, man. I'll give you the mic. I know it's your first time on stage. I appreciate being here.
And I appreciate that. Really, the only thing I was going to add to this is that you're not going to see any kind of substantive change unless you have the public support behind it. And that's going to require these kinds of disclosures happening more and more, which is why I'm hopeful that this isn't just day 2 of Twitter files, but that we're going into multiple days of Twitter files, releases on all sorts of different things in every single sector of society, showing how Twitter and no doubt every other big tech company has been colluding directly with government to suppress information and to essentially exile and blackball people from the internet space who give dissenting voices. I hope one of the upcoming ones is going to be on the COVID regimes and the lockdowns and mandates and suppression of any question as to the origins of COVID, or wherever this goes. The longer this goes on, the more people have to be exposed to the reality that this was not a one-off thing. This was not, don't believe your lying eyes. This has always been happening, and there's a substantial proof of it, and that it's happening on all these different things as well. I hope we're going to be talking about day 130 of Twitter files.
So Spike, whilst I appreciate your point, I think we should draw a limitation to too many different things. Certainly a degree of, government suppression or, I don't know, shall we say, questionable action over certain policies. But each case is very different, and I think we should treat them in isolation when and if certain files were to be released on COVID, on electoral issues, on the suppression of certain speech
Even
and perspective
basic
on
things,
Twitter.
right?
I think
Even
that's
basic things like journalists getting Twitter to suspend anyone who was posting the NPC meme or later on the Learn to Code meme, right? People were suspended for this. Hundreds,
For the
thousands
Pepe.
of people were suspended for tweeting at journalists. And who made that call? I want to know who made that call, what it was made for, and who demanded it, right? Was it the media that was there a concerted effort by members of the media altogether emailing them, or, was this something that someone at Twitter decided to, unilaterally do, right? We need to know these things. And like you said, right, it's going to be everything from large stories, whether it was the cover up of the COVID-19 origins, right? Because we know Zero Hedge was banned for many, many months in 2020 for reporting that there was a large possibility it came from a lab in Wuhan, right? And then months later, they were unbanned without given any explanation. And we need to know, the public needs to know what this is about.
But one
Guys,
point I did notice during the... go on, Spike. Go on, Thierry. Sorry.
Yeah. Guys, so two things. Number one, we're blowing up, and I think once we get to the 10K listeners, we have a fair chance to have Elon here. Also, I just tweeted precisely that Elon is best placed to be discussing the subject. So if you can just go and retweet my tweet, hopefully that will spam him. Anyways,
Can I add to that really quick?
Just a second.
Yeah,
just a second. I thought you had a connection. Why do we have to retweet now to get Elon's attention? I don't understand.
Kim is so that I don't get spam after. Please, can we just? I'll tell you.
That's what I was wondering, and honestly, don't you think it might be more pertinent to have him in here when he's actually doing the release or after the release in order to do a Q&A?
Okay, so look, I'll tell you, Kim, off stage, yeah.
Yeah, so send me a message, Sherry, and I can forward it to Kim. Also, Tara, I've been trying just to tell everyone, I've been trying to bring up Tara as co-host for the last 20-30 minutes. Kim can't either, so I just want to give her a massive shout out, and I'll keep trying to bring you as a co-host, Tara. I'm really sorry. And I've got two phones plugged into the space. I appreciate it.
No, it's Mario's fault. Let's blame it on Mario. Let's blame it on Mario.
They need some revamping for sure.
It's Mario's fault.
By the way, we don't need to tweet anything at Elon. You don't need to retweet anything. He knows we're here. Ian is here. I'm here. He's listening to the stuff.
Exactly.
So don't worry.
He does.
If he wants to join, he'll join.
Chill.
If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Yeah,
no big deal.
So here's the thing, guys. What's very tricky for him now is that, imagine being in a position where you are running a company and you are opening a can of worms, and then you just purchased the company, okay? And there was no clear evidence of wrongdoing in the company when there was due diligence done on it, right? So he didn't know that there was any massive illegal activity or wrongdoing by the company.
Can you do me a favor, Thierry? Can you just stop talking for Elon? If Elon wants to talk about it, he will come up. He doesn't need you to be like his bodyguard, Just chill and let's see what happens.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, imagine that you are kind of shooting yourself in the foot. That's what I'm kind of saying. Okay.
I disagree. This is exactly what he wanted.
No, okay, but the thing is, also,
Thierry, just read the room, let it be. Read the room. Let's go on.
Look,
correct.
Elon gets screwed by the Biden administration every single day. He is the largest new car manufacturer in 100 or 200 years in the United States. He doesn't get invited to the electronic vehicle summits. Like he doesn't exist. He's the only game in town, and the Biden administration pretends he's not even there. So
and the media hates him. The media hates him. You can literally tweet at me, and they will write an article about how he tweeted at me, and then they repeat every single rumor they heard about either of us. It's insane. It doesn't really matter. Like he doesn't care, right? He
Yeah.
just doesn't give a shit about these people because, like I said to him publicly, and he agreed with me. It's like there's no point in trying to play their game or placating them because they're gonna hate you regardless. Fuck them. Fuck the activists, right? If he
I
wants
mean,
to
they did the
speak,
same. The
it's his
car
right.
media did the same thing to him. And when
Exactly.
Tesla cars came out, like literally Top Gear ran it out of battery on their own just to try and make it look bad. And he had to sue Top Gear for literally savaging his new car company and making the car look worse than necessary. And so he doesn't buy ads. He doesn't buy ads. He's the only car company that doesn't buy ads. So guess who doesn't make money on him? The advertising companies, the magazines. But because the stuff's so good, they have to cover it for free anyway. So
Elon is the ad. That's because he's the ad, and he knows how to do it.
Here's a very simple explanation why Elon is doing this. Elon can't stand bullies. Elon stands up to bullies, and he also doesn't like injustice. So he is putting everything on the line to change things because he's a smart guy. He sees exactly what's going on. He knows what's wrong in society. He knows what needs to happen so humanity has a chance to move forward without all of these restrictions into our human rights and stifling of free speech. So what he's doing here is a great service to humanity. And if he wants to come up and talk about it, let him talk about it. But let's not talk about him, and how we have to protect him and all that. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing.
He knows, yeah.
So
He's been in this
everyone
game for
just
years
chill.
and years and years.
He's going to
Really
be
quick,
upset.
could I request to have ALX speak if that's possible? I'm so sorry if Richard was speaking. I can't hear him for whatever reason. But ALX, or I don't know if you go by Alex, but he was one of the accounts that was wrongfully suspended from Twitter. I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but he was just recently reinstated by Elon. And I would really love to hear his take on
He's a
all
Twitter
of this.
POW. That's what he is. I think he called
Yep.
himself that in a podcast recently.
Yeah, that was not my idea for the Chiron, but I got roasted by
It's
media
awful.
matters for
It's
it.
cringy.
That was not my my take for the Chiron, but I enjoyed it. It was pretty funny.
It's pretty
But
funny,
yeah, anyway, so what I think is interesting is the James Woods tweet that was requested at the behest of the DNC to be taken down. I know it had to do with the Hunter Biden thing, but he used that same template that I believe that I was suspended for, but Twitter claims I was not. It was that I side with Joe thing. That was my last tweet before I was suspended. Like 20 minutes before I was suspended, I tweeted that with like Xi Jinping, and I thought like it was a funny meme. And then I saw like Mike Cernovich like comment on it, and he said, "Oh, this watch the media claim this is manipulated media or something, and like use it to get suspended." But yeah, so yesterday's drop kind of not only with the Hunter Biden stuff, but I want to know, and I'm interested if this is going to be covered in like the second drop. I want to know the extent of like how many users that the DNC and the Biden campaign actually requested to be taken down, how many were granted. And I would like to see each of those users like notified by Twitter. I think they have a right to know if they were suspended at the behest of the Biden campaign or the DNC, or and if it was honored especially. But in general, I think they should have a right to know.
I think that I wish I were more of a lawyer in this case, but there's a big difference between the administration that's in office and's been elected and the guys talking crap that weren't elected that just happen to be a club of people. So the DNC is just a club of people. So unless they're elected, I don't think you're going to have any teeth to like stop them from lobbying to get everyone they don't like banned.
Well, this is another thing too. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's limited to before Biden got in office, the Biden campaign and the DNC. If this was going on before, and we already know with the lawsuits coming out over the COVID misinformation, that there was active coordination between the Biden administration and Twitter. So again, this could just be, a pretext and just, coming before. Again, this is one drop. We do not know what the extent of all of this is, and this is only, having to do with the Hunter Biden stuff. So
Well, and
I'm
then
not,
point
you
to
know,
add
I'm
there
not
too is
saying,
the
yeah,
the DNC is a representative body of a whole bunch of people that are elected representatives usually. So typically speaking, that even those people in Congress, if they were asking for this, that's an issue.
I think. By the way, just as a side note, I'm not a fan of Biden or the idea of doubling the capital gains tax rate or some of the other awesome ideas I've heard from that administration. But savaging the dude for what his kid did, unless there's direct evidence that he's involved, it's kind of scammy, right? If you had a
Okay.
10%
crappy
of the
crackhead
10%
kid,
of the
that's
There you have to
that's a
step up.
can of
We're
worms.
not talking about like his drug habit. That's a talking
Yeah, no
point
one cares about
by
that.
the corporate media. What we're talking about is his role in Burisma when he wasn't qualified. What we're talking about is when Biden was vice president and basically used his position to get financial gain for his immediate family.
Influence peddling, right? The only reason
Yes.
his
And
son got the position on
Exactly.
Burisma
yeah,
and with
and
the
that
Chinese
is
company, with the Chinese bank, was because his dad was vice president. That's the only reason, because he had no qualifications to fill those roles. I mean, we're talking about $83,000 a month from a Ukrainian energy company, and months later, guess what happens, right? All these favors suddenly start going to Ukraine. That's very interesting. Now, there's no hard evidence that these things are connected, but it's quite obvious why his son got those positions at the very least.
well.
Well, there's
I
one.
think, Ian, there's the email. There's the email that violates the emollients clause of the
Tara,
Constitution, and
even
that's
more
from.
importantly, there is a former partner of Hunter Biden who set up the company with him that benefited from all of these investments out of China, Ukraine, and so on. And he went on television and told his side of the story that Joe Biden was very much involved in these businesses, that he was the big guy who was going to get a 10% share out of all of these dealings and transactions. And this guy came forward with concrete evidence, emails, and everything. And the FBI literally refused to interview him and looked the other way. And just recently, again, he's been at Fox with Tucker Carlson to explain that none of the stuff that he has revealed, including hard evidence in writing, emails, have been reviewed.
Exactly. And I think the bigger issue here is the bigger picture issue is how the Biden campaign in 2020 was using their position to influence the conversation via social media, Twitter being one of those platforms, by siphoning it, controlling it, and suppressing it. And that has to be looked at.
Also, part of the
That's
problem too
that's a
was
party institution overriding democratic process. Like you
also,
could argue that if you have an elected party and then they're having influence on the way that these companies operate, at least it seems like people are arguing it's up to these companies to decide whether to collaborate with these institutions, as in they're private companies, so they have the right to decide what's on their platform or not, which I don't think actually relates to their responsibility, just like you have other types of utilities, like energy utilities, that are regulated specifically because of their importance to the public and the fact that the public needs these services. This is the big thing that actually has to be addressed with social media companies, is they have this responsibility because they determine public discourse and they determine elections. So when you have a campaign of a presidential party having influence over what can be discussed on social media, that's where you create a situation where the embedded power in these party institutions is affecting an election because they are able to speak directly to a social media company before they've been elected. And you're seeing this where you have two parties that are capable of influencing in this way. And the boundaries of those two parties as an establishment, in terms of the people who are included in that industry of politics and not, determines who has influence over what is allowed on social media. So at a foundational level, this is a violation of First Amendment right.
Absolutely, Tim. And as a customer, like I'm a US citizen, here I was, my information taken under sealed warrants by a government agency when I didn't commit a crime. I simply told of a crime, something that happened to me. So I think for everyone, for all US citizens, just regular citizens, how can we have trust and faith in these social media companies if they're simply colluding with political power and with campaigns or with the governing, at the time, whether it be about COVID, or in my case, it was a whistleblowing case, or the Hunter Biden laptop. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. The fact is, the intelligence communities should not have the overreach to reach into private companies and take personal data without permission and without.
I think we lost. Sorry about that, Tara. I think we lost Kim. I don't know if he's reconnecting. Mario, or you're able to get him back up here.
Yeah, I'll DM him now. Kim, can you hear me? No, it's glitching.
I was just going to offer to do a quick reset of the room and just remind people that yesterday it was around this time that the files dropped, I believe. So it could be happening soon. Also, if you're liking what you hear in here, make sure you're following the host, Mario, so you can catch his spaces in the future. And make sure you retweet the space so others see it.
You gotta follow Tara. You gotta follow Tara. She deserves a lot of credit for making this happen. And Kim, are you back? I see you come up again.
So there's something really weird going on here. So every time I speak and I raise important issues, I get kicked from the space. And when I join back, it doesn't let me speak or do anything. So I really had to restart my phone and everything. It's really
Do you know,
strange.
Kim? You know me. I don't like. I'm not a. I wouldn't say conspiracy theories, but I don't like to make up stories. And I want to tell you something though that I haven't spoken about. Remember when the Hunter Biden thing happened? A lot of the press was asking me what happened. I've had a lot of glitches on Twitter Spaces. Like today, I can't co-host Tara. I'll try again soon. It could work. Some speakers we can't bring up. I hope Jack is up. Jack Levin. I've been trying to bring him up for a while.
Jack's up. Yeah. Jack's up.
Sick. Perfect. Yeah. So Kim, what happened? And I haven't said this to anyone yet except my team. With the Hunter Biden thing, we had a glitch that we've never had before. I've done dozens, maybe 100 spaces plus. Never had this glitch. So when it started getting
in the room, guys, just so you know.
Oh, sick. All right, cool. I'll invite him up. Hopefully it doesn't glitch. When Elon was here last time, I brought him up as a co-host, and it glitched.
Just invite him as a speaker because co-hosting is very glitchy.
Yeah, I wouldn't make an account that size. It's better just Elon's a speaker. I think it would be.
Yeah, I've just sent him through a speaker invite. So Elon, I hope it works. So what happened with the Hunter Biden when he was on stage is it started glitching for me, a glitch I've never had before. Again, I'm not making theories. It could just be a glitch. But when it started getting a bit heated, and one of the speakers asked a question we weren't allowed to ask, it started muting and unmuting everyone. No, first it kicked. So it was Hunter and someone that works with him. We had many other speakers. None of them were removed except the person that works with Hunter. He was removed first, Richard something. And then Hunter was removed second, right after, within seconds, while all our mics were muting, unmuting, non-stop. And then we closed the space, did it again. We never have a glitch when we do it again. Same issue happened again. And someone started, an analyst told me, Mario, there's actually something fishy happening. So I don't think it's happening now, Kim, to you. And maybe it was a glitch back then. Never brought it up. But it was a very well-timed glitch. And then after maybe 5 minutes, it didn't work
Mario,
anymore.
just to be on the other side, I have a different position to some other speakers here on some things. It's happened to me as well, so I think it's a technical error.
So yeah, I think it is technical error. It happened to me and all other speakers, so it would mute, unmute non-stop, and we started the space again. This error never happened before. Other errors happen on a regular basis. Again, Piotr, as I said, it could very well be just a glitch. It's just a very ironic and well-timed glitch. But anyway,
I think it's important to raise it. I think it's important to raise it. Sorry, go ahead.
Please, Kim, check your direct messages because I send you a bunch of them. And Elon, I know that you're listening now, so it'd be great. That's what I was saying. It'd be great if you could come on stage because we will be able to be a little bit more truthful and factual about what is going on instead of allowing speculations regarding the Twitter files. I think you're in the best position, knowing what you know, to have a truthful and mindful conversation. So if you could join Mario, you're sending him the invite, I guess.
I have, yeah. I've sent him a couple of invites.
Maybe he can at least let us know what time the next drop will be, so we can get Twitter numbers at an all-time high again.
So Alex, I know you have your hand up while I try to invite Elon. Go ahead.
By the way, I tried to move Elon up just now. It says error. He cannot be moved. So the app.
Oh, it's working now. My invite is working from my end. But yeah, I'll keep trying. Go and I'll DM him on. Or Elon, I can't DM you. You can DM me if it's not working for you. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go back to a point that Richard made when he said that he doesn't care about like the activities of Biden's son and like his drug abuse. I think that
I care greatly. I just said I wanted evidence of a tie.
That's okay. So, but this is my point though. I think that overall demonstrates the point of why it's so important that this story got out, is because a lot of people might have that opinion. They might say that.
Hey, Elon's a speaker now.
Okay, yeah.
Elon's up with us, I think. Elon, can you hear us?
Awesome.
Elon, can you hear us? I think he's up.
It takes a while to load.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I
can hear you now.
Hello, Mr.
Fantastic.
Sorry, guys. I think there's like maybe some glitches in the spaces that we need to fix. I'll dig into it next week. Yeah, I mean, on the Twitter file stuff, I mean, the idea here is simply to come clean on everything that has happened in the past in order to have build public trust for the future. I think that's essential. Like, why should people believe Twitter in the future if Twitter does not come clean about the past? That's what it comes down to. So it's just, so I've given Matt Taibbi, and then just recently, actually just about an hour ago, Barry Weiss, access to all Twitter documents. So it's like unfettered access to anything. And this is not like a North Korean tour guide situation. This is you get to go anywhere you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, however you want. So I'm not like controlling the narrative, or I didn't I was seeing Matt's tweets as he was tweeting them. So I'm like, I was just as eager to see them as everybody else. And I think Matt did a great job. I mean, there are a few cases where I think we should have excluded some email addresses. Sorry, Jack. Jack at Pizza is now, might need a different email address, but so we also need to, not have email addresses in there, and I think we need to post more actual source documents, so then people can draw their own conclusions. But it's just obvious that there's been a lot of controlled information, suppression of information, including things that affected elections, and that just all needs to be, it's kind of like this friggin' Stasi files, like at the point you just want to have this stuff out there. So
Elon, I have a very blunt question for you then. Given the past few days over Yi and what we're talking about, the freedom of expression, and people want to ask hard questions. So we've had one side where we've now seen you freeze his account again, but now you're releasing information that, about the freedom of expression. So how are you going to balance the level to which we speak about the freedom of expression on Twitter?
Yeah, well, I think,
if that makes sense.
Sure. With Kanye, it's obviously a difficult subject, but that was a case where it was like, where that was my decision. But I think it's important that people know, okay, that was my decision, because at a certain point you have to say, what is incitement to violence? Because that is against the law in the U.S. You can't just have form a club, let's go murder someone club. That's not actually legal. So the question is, what is incitement to violence? And I think, posting swastikas in what is obviously not a, good way, is an incitement to violence. I personally wanted to punch Kanye, so that was definitely inciting me to violence. Anyway, that's not cool.
Just to hang on, but you mentioned in a good way.
Well, no, it's just that like it could be like an analysis of the Second World War or something. That's a history drama, or whatever.
It's contextual.
Yeah,
right?
it's like okay, like let's. a battlefield or something, and that's good. This so some sort of war history thing. I don't know, something like that. Then that would be okay. But
Yeah, it has to be contextual. I mean, if he's posting it in a way that is trying to rally people to anti-Semitic views, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can also say okay, well, let's look for added context outside of Twitter to say well, was this meant in a friendly way? And it's like, okay, well, no, he's saying that he likes Hitler and other things. And look, at the point at which Alex Jones is telling Kanye to calm down and please stop. You have to say, okay, Alex Jones is pretty edgy. So Alex Jones is saying Kanye wants Kanye to stop. That's a big deal. So anyway, but I don't want to get into some sort of huge this could easily get derailed into a
Absolutely agreed. Yeah, we should talk more about the file. So you mentioned that you gave it to Barry Weiss, right? So she has full access. Does this mean that we are going to see multiple exposés, not just ones with Matt Taibbi?
Yeah, the point is to just have everything come clean. So the thing is that it's not that people would necessarily agree with everything that Twitter has done in the past or in the future, but they should at least know that it is occurring and there's no shady stuff that is happening that they're unaware of. So then at least if Twitter is explicit about its actions and transparent, you can then appropriately calibrate your interpretation of what you learn on Twitter. As opposed to thinking, Twitter pretending to be unbiased and even-handed. So there's a way to get everyone to agree with all the actions that Twitter will take. That's impossible. That is a null set. So, but what it is possible to do is to be fully transparent about the actions that are taken. Give me a break.
Elon, oh, you're back.
He's back.
You dropped out for a bit. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear us, Elon? Or it's not? It's still glitching a bit. Can you hear me?
I'm about to take off.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, carry on.
This just turned into a Verizon commercial really quick. I just wanted to ask Elon really quick if there's any way to combine Twitter's efforts with people who have gone, as far as filing constitutional challenges. Is there any way to get them in touch with Matt and combine the efforts there?
Possibly. I'd reach out to Matt. There's... and I mentioned, I've also asked Barry Weiss to, also, I've given her access. I just gave Barry Weiss access to the Twitter files like an hour ago. I think at some point it might make sense to just have them publicly available, so that anyone can look at them.
A quick side question. Sorry, go ahead.
The general thing we're aiming for is anything bad that Twitter's done in the past that at least be surfaced so as to instill trust about Twitter in the future. And the thing where I may have blanked out a moment ago is that it is impossible for Twitter to take the set of actions that will satisfy all people, or probably even 90% of people. But what Twitter can do that is unequivocal is be completely transparent about its action and what's what is it doing, what is it not doing, how does the algorithm work, and if an account is suspended, why is it suspended? If an account is deboosted, just showing that it's been deboosted or search banned, and giving a reason for that, so that there's maximum transparency in the system, so that even if you disagree with what's going on Twitter, you at least can calibrate what you learn on Twitter based on what Twitter's doing, not have a situation where Twitter is claiming to be fair and even-handed, and then actually is not being so, at least from your perspective.